¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos a una edición más del Triblog. En esta ocasión tenemos a un invitado que, bueno, es de los fundadores de Hammer Nutrition. Vamos a hacer una entrevista, es en inglés, así que bueno, pues espero que ahí pongan atención y si tienen alguna duda, pues con mucho gusto les ayudamos. Así que quédense, va a estar muy bueno. We're going to have an interview with one of the founders of Hammer Nutrition. He is Brian Frank. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Miguel.
How are you? Well, recently we had a full blog talking about all the products of Hammer Nutrition, but we want to know a little bit more about how was it founded, why did it started, when was this created? I don't know if you could give us some info about this.
Absolutely, I would be happy to. Really, it started out with me being an athlete when I was young and finding that there was no products that were on the market that were effective for what I was doing. Competing in water polo and swimming, racing motorcycles. So in college, when I decided not to go into international business, I decided I wanted to start developing products for athletes. And so I started developing antioxidant supplements and nutritional products that would help athletes to solve the problems that they're dealing with as far as fatigue, muscle cramps, upset stomachs, things like that. And keep in mind, 30 years ago, the sport of triathlon was just getting started. People didn't know what they needed to eat. They didn't know about protein and what types of carbohydrates were best. And everybody was having trouble when they tried to go long to do ultra endurance stuff. They were having upset stomach and all kinds of problems with the products that were available. So really I sought to solve problems for athletes, myself included.
Okay, so you were studying something related to business and then you jumped into sports. How was it? Because I imagine it should be hard. There's nothing like the science of a product behind in the business school, so how did it start?
Well, that was due to my family background. I was actually born at home in the Hollywood Hills in Southern California in 1967, and my family was granola hippies. Okay. You know, we ate natural foods only. When I was a child, we had no white flour, no white sugar, no dairy in our house. So today, it's very common, but back then, it wasn't common at all. And my father was a chiropractor and who was also into vitamin supplementation and nutrition. So when I was 5 years old, I was taking handfuls of vitamins every day. And so I grew up eating naturally and holistically. So when I decided that international business wasn't what I wanted to do, it was kind of like going back to the family business of health and well-being.
What was the first Hammer Nutrition product?
The first Hammer Nutrition product was actually a product that we have not yet been able to bring into Mexico called Race Caps. Okay. And that was the coenzyme Q10 along with the vitamin E and other antioxidants that helps athletes to recover more effectively so that they can do higher volume training.
Okay, and how did you get to that formula? I don't know, what was the process of the development to get to that kind of product? Because I imagine 30 years ago, as you said, it was really hard to get to create a product of that kind. So where did the idea come, or how did you manage to create it? I think that even today it's kind of hard to develop something like that. So how was it?
Well, again, when I was in school, when I was in high school, I was training 5 hours a day, and then I was racing motorcycles, racing motocross, usually Wednesday and Thursday night and Saturday and Sunday, plus 5 hours a day in the pool. So I was struggling with constant fatigue. So my father and I put together this group of nutrients, everyone one by one. I took them in school. I took coenzyme Q10, vitamin E, idebenone. I took these all separately. So when I decided that I wanted to have a nutrition company, the first product that we formulated was all of the products that I had been using, all the ingredients I had been using separately when I was younger. I put them all into one formula.
Okay, well that's pretty interesting. And In the development of Hammer Nutrition through the years, you've been, well, I know that you have several types of athletes, some into motorsports, some other in endurance. So I don't know, how was the process of developing the products? How did you, I don't know, found the path of knowing what to do next? I don't know.
Well, we don't want to forget that there is science involved. But the science, most of the nutritional science with regard to protein and carbohydrate metabolism has already been done. So we have that to start with. But most importantly, I've relied for all of our product development, we've relied on field testing. So I develop a formula that I think will be effective, and then I use it, and I have several dozen sponsored athletes of all levels, from very beginners to elite professionals. Primarily we started in triathlon and with bicycle racing and ultra running, trail running. And it's only been recently in the last 10-15 years that so many other types of sports have come in. So now the newest product that we just developed called Fully Charged, which is a pre-workout igniter with beta-alanine and several other nutrients that help to increase metabolism and increase circulation to prepare the body for workouts. We had that product was in testing for 2 years before we released it into the market. Okay. And we had every type of athlete, Ironman triathletes, 100-mile trail runners, as well as endurance racers doing 24 hours of Le Mans and Nürburgring. Stand-up paddleboard now is a true endurance sport. So we have Connor Baxter is a world champion stand-up paddleboard racer. So we rely on our sponsored athletes not only for promotion, but also for our product development cycle.
Okay. Nutrition technology, well, technology has improved a lot in the last few years. So I sometimes don't understand how the people don't still know all I don't know, like the base or the fundamentals of the nutrition that an endurance athlete needs. So what does Hammer Nutrition do to get to those athletes to know what they should do, how they should eat, how they should, I don't know, take those nutrients into a race? Because there are people that are racing Ironmans or 100-kilometer trail, but they still eat, I don't know, some products that doesn't really help. So how do you suggest that we should get to tell them what to do or to do the right thing for them and for their bodies?
That's a good question, and it's something that's been very challenging for us because all the new products, there's so many new products now. When we started 30 years ago, there was nothing for endurance athletes but one sports drink. And now we have dozens of different kinds of sports drinks, dozens of energy bars, chews, waffles, you name it. But they're still working from the old paradigm, which was just sugar, salt, and citric acid. That was the original sports drink that was developed in the 60s in Florida. And that's today, every new product that comes out, when we turn it around and we start reading the ingredients, we see the same thing. And we know that for a lot of athletes, that isn't going to produce good results for them. So my company has been here for 30 years, and during that time we've always concentrated on education. Because we believe that what we're doing is easy for an athlete once they understand the basic concepts, just like the SOS presentation that you saw today, the proper way to take in calories, fluids, electrolytes, what to do before you exercise, and how to start recovery after you exercise. Those are fundamental core principles that any athlete can adopt and can use for better results.
A few minutes ago we were talking about less is best. How would you explain that to the people that is watching this? Because most of the athletes that sometimes we talk to, they think that they need to have a lot of I don't know, sugar, a lot of salt, a lot of nutrients. So what does this less is best goes focus into?
Well, the idea is that really when we're doing an endurance sport, our body is under a lot of stress, and we only want to do things that help our body to handle that stress. And it's a misnomer, it's a misunderstanding that a lot of athletes have, that they're depleting so much from their body, they're losing so much fluids, they're losing so many, burning so many calories, that they need to replace that all during exercise. And that doesn't produce good results. That overloads the body with too much. And so this is why my fueling philosophy, to distill it down to its simplest form, is to consume the least amount of fluids, calories, and electrolytes that you can during exercise without slowing you down.
Okay.
So and we tell people specifically, fluids, you want 500 to 700 milliliters of water or fluid total per hour. Caloric intake is between 100 and 180 calories per hour, and electrolytes, usually for sodium, is between 100 and 600 milligrams of sodium chloride per hour. And that's really all an athlete needs. And we've been proving this. When we first started telling athletes this, and doctors, they say, how do you know? Well, now we have over 20 years of experience with athletes doing everything from Ironman, Deca Ironman, climbing Mount Everest, every type of ultra endurance sport you can imagine. Athletes have used our fueling protocols with or without our products with unparalleled success.
Well, I think that all this information is really important for all the athletes. As we said before, we have already talked deeply into each of the products of Hammer Nutrition, so I don't know, this kind of focus you have given us is helping us a lot, and especially to let the people know that nutrition is a really important part, and it can be really the difference between finishing or not finishing a race, or getting to first place, or just getting bunked on the road. So, well, thank you very much. It was really nice to meet you. It's been a lot of help to talk with you about this. And, well, estuvimos hablando. Vamos a tener una presentación un poco más detallada de los productos, pero bueno, ahorita tuvimos una introducción de lo que es Hammer Nutrition y de cómo debemos de conocer un poco más de nutrición para que nuestras competencias nuestros entrenamientos vayan de la mano y que tengamos una nutrición mucho más apropiada. So, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Miguel.
Really nice.
Muchas gracias.
And it's really nice for us to have you here in the Tree store.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tree forever.